So it's good, bro.
What's going on? What's going on?
Welcome, finally.
Yes, yes. We're here in Saudi Arabia.
At MW.
Mutah and Q here at MW Cafe
Definitely.
in Riyadh. Yeah, loving life. It's hot as heck outside.
Man, it's hot as, man, I feel like the oven, bro.
It is. It's hotter than California.
1,000 times, bro.
Yeah,
it's close to
yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah, basically.
Most may not know, man, that I've been, I believe Q, you was out here for how many years?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. I've been living in Saudi Arabia for 11 years. And it's actually, within this 11-year time period, it's actually my second time spending summers in Saudi Arabia. Usually, as soon as the heat come, I'm out of here, bro. I book my ticket, I go back to LA, but because of the COVID.
Thank you, COVID.
We stuck, huh? But you going to Korea, bro.
Finally,
What's the weather like over there, man?
After a year and a half, it's humid though. So Korea is like Dubai weather, like Bahrain weather, man. You know, it's very humid.
Very humid.
So
how you say Mutah in Korea, bro?
Mutah.
No. How you say Mutah in Korea?
Mutah.
Man, stop fronting, bro.
I'm saying it, Mutah. That's how we say it in Korean.
You gotta be more to it,
No. That's how you say it in Korean, Mutah.
Mutah. You sure?
See, the way the names work in Korea, we go by syllables.
Okay.
So that's why if you listen to every Korean name, first name, middle name, and last name, it's one syllable each. Like my Korean name is Kwon Jun Hyuk.
So why y'all don't have two syllables in the name, bro?
Because it's hard. Because the way the Korean writing is.
We should change that.
Yeah, I know. Like Angelina Jolie.
Your future kids must have two syllables in
like Angelina Jolie, that Korean writing is long as heck.
So usually
it'll take up a whole page.
So all the Koreans have one syllable in their name.
But here's the funny thing though.
What's the
Kim Jong-un.
The president of North Korea, right?
Kim Jong-un. Like
he's a homie,
syllables. My uncle. I'm from South Korea. If y'all didn't know.
He ain't the homie, man. He be tripping.
Yeah, I'm from South Korea. If y'all didn't know. No, but like my kids, I went the other way around.
What's your kid's name?
Alexia. That's 3 syllables.
3 syllables, man. You broke the record, man. You might got to be in the Guinness Book, the Korean Guinness Book of Record. No.
But we here, we always have some good conversations, and so I think, like,
this is a good idea.
You've been here for how long?
11 years, man.
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
When I came to Saudi Arabia, this was before the social media hype. This is before people was going to Dubai wearing thobes. You know, the celebrities now, if you look at certain celebrities, when they go to Dubai, they all want to wear thobe.
Yeah, like Will Smith just recently wore one too.
When I first went to Dubai in Saudi Arabia 18 years ago, and I remember throwing my thobe on, everybody thought I was crazy. In the hood. They was like, man, what's wrong with this dude walking around like that? Now it became a fad. Everybody going to Dubai, throwing their thobe on. I've been doing this, man. I'm ahead of the game, man. I'm telling y'all this, bro.
You're making trends. That's what you're doing. Trends, that's how we roll.
So I've been out here for 11 years, man. But I've been coming to Saudi Arabia now for the past 18 years.
Yeah,
I became Muslim. Yeah, because when I became Muslim, 3 months later, I went for Hajj. So that was my first experience in the Middle East.
Wow.
And this was 2000 and if I'm not mistaken, 2005. No, 2002. Yes, 19 years ago.
Dang.
So in 2002, I went to Hajj, and I remember I did an interview with like LA Times. And the guy came to me, he was like, it was the Gulf War, the Iraq War.
Yeah.
So the guy came to me, he was like, why would you go to Saudi Arabia when there's a war there and this and this and that? And I was like, look here, man, I'm from the hood. I survived wars in the hood. So I'm going, you're not going to talk me to
It's crazy you mentioned the Gulf War, because in 2003, I was in Iraq.
Wow.
When I was in the military. I'm ex-military. If y'all didn't know, I'm ex-military.
Man, so
United States Army.
He was in Iraq.
Yeah, I was 2003.
Kidnap him, yalla. We kidnapping you, bro. Why you was in Iraq? Nah, I'm joking. he retired now, right?
Yeah. I'm out now. Yeah. But that's crazy.
Yeah,
we were both in the
Middle East. So when I made that trip 2002, I remember that I didn't know no one. You couldn't really get on the internet back then. I don't even know if they had Google 2002.
Yeah.
Did they?
No, I don't.
I think
it just started.
Yeah, I think it just started. We couldn't get online and say what's happening in Saudi Arabia. The only thing I knew about the Middle East was what the news is showing.
Yeah.
So the Gulf, Iraq was here, Saudi Arabia was right here. I just remember on the map, they looked like they was in the same place. So
it was like one whole country.
Do I really want to go? But then I was like, you know what, the hell with this, I'm going.
Inshallah, right?
Inshallah, I put trust in God. I came.
It's good.
And I remember staying for 2 weeks. The best experience I ever, faced outside of America. For 2 weeks, I didn't have my cell phone or nothing. So I was meeting people. At first, it was strange because, now the culture amongst the Arabs and the Muslims, everything is about come eat with us, come join us, everything.
I noticed that.
So when I first came here as an American, and you don't know this stranger, he like, come, you want to eat? You know, I'm running away from everybody because America had you paranoid. America had you thinking, these jokers trying to poison me, man. Especially like black Americans, we always think everybody, the CIA sent them, man.
Yeah, dude, me being young,
you know that, right? We paranoid in the hood, bro. I still think the CIA sent him to do this podcast, man. We paranoid, bro.
No, the first year I was here, though, I was like that. In fact, before I came here, when I got the job, I was like, I don't know if it's safe going to Saudi Arabia. Because a lot of people, even to this day, doesn't know a lot about Saudi Arabia.
Of course.
And that's also the reason why I decided I wanted to do this with you, so we could actually
show the world, definitely.
That Saudi Arabia is awesome. I actually love it here now.
And you've been here how many years?
3.5 years, and I love it here.
Loving it, huh?
I love it.
And what you love the most about the culture in Saudi?
The culture, actually.
What you love about the country in general?
Equality. And then what I mean by equality, like you said, like the guys I work with, they're Saudi nationals, you know, they're the Saudi military, and every time they eat, they're like, Jew, eat with us. Jew, come here, eat with us. And like you said, I wasn't comfortable with that. You know,
like, wasn't.
Especially
it's the culture. The people here are very generous. You know, even before Islam, because one of my favorite topics is history. So even if you look at the Arabs before Islam, they used to be in competition about who can be the most generous to their guests. So when you see the Arabs here doing it, this been passed down from generation, thousands of years go back. They've been saying their mother do it, their grandfather, their great grandfather, their father. So it's something that's been part of their culture where it becomes second nature for them. You know what I mean? I don't even think they realize sometimes. For them, then we just eat all their food. They like, huh?
Yeah. and like, you know, Americans, if you eat all the food, they'll be like, yo, what, dude?
Yeah.
They
will give you more.
Like, you want more?
They will give you more.
And they go buy it. I'm
and another thing that's dope about the culture, since we're on the topic of generosity, I remember when I first got here, I used to get invited a lot. And I'm talking about people used to have these big, like, camels and whole camels, and we all be sitting around eating. And I noticed every time I finished eating, no one would get up. And as soon as I get up, you know, once again, we paranoid in the hood. As soon as I get up, everybody get up. So I'm like, damn, man, these people following. You know,
I was thinking, are we about to run?
So I'm like, why anybody get up when I got up? Until later, I realized that one time I was at a gathering, and I was eating, and I finished. I noticed everybody was done eating, and I was the last one. And when I stopped, no one moved. So we just sitting there, and 20 minutes go by, nobody would get up. And one of the Saudi brothers, like, listen, you finished? I said, yes. He said, because the people invited you, they're not going to move until you get up. Because they feel in their culture is disrespectful for them to leave, because then we might feel uncomfortable and we might have to get up. So they would not leave. Bro, so when I heard that, I said, this is the dopest culture, bro.
Yeah, me too.
You know
what I mean? I said the same thing. I was like, I love that.
So they won't get up. You know what I mean? Because in America, unfortunately, we do have a lot of good. We can't take that. But we also have a lot of, what can we call it? Everybody out for themselves. And majority of the time, you know what I mean? You go into people's homes, they won't offer you a drink. It's just a culture. You know what I mean? A person eat, he get up, he don't give a hell if you finish or not.
Especially
so here,
new generation.
Yeah, so here, when they don't get up until you finish, I thought that was dope.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Me too.
So I'm big on like culture. Wherever I go, I try to respect the culture. When I come to Korea, you got to put me up on the culture, what to do, what not to do. I ain't bowing though. I only can bow to Allah.
Of course.
I ain't bowing though. But you got to tell me all about the culture.
No, and so in
Korea, but in the Korean, you have to bow?
In Korea, yes. But nowadays, it's actually, like I said, the new generation is taking over.
So we could just shake hands and be like...
You as a Westerner,
they won't get offended.
As a foreigner, me, they won't get offended.
They won't get offended.
They don't expect you to bow, you know?
Okay. Now, but when you go, you have to. Because I noticed when we had a meeting with the Korean guy...
I bowed. You saw me bow.
I saw you bow, so I said... It's the culture. He did the same thing. Yeah, you know what I mean.
But then to you, he didn't because he knows. You know, it's
dope. You know what I mean. I like
Korean,
different
culture.
Asian
thing, you know,
it's an Asian thing. But we can't bow only to Allah, man. So
no, I feel you.
I'll be beating up at the whole Korea. They try to. We be swinging out there.
Actually, Allah might be, you know.
You're right. See, you're right. Allah would be mad. Mashallah, you're right. So I'm looking forward to go, man. You know what I mean?
So we're gonna go Korea, trust me.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna introduce you to all my uncles and cousins and aunties, and
definitely, bro. I look forward to
in Korea.
Because Korea's a dope, you know what I mean? But the Koreans and the African Americans kind of had a tense history in the USA.
Yeah, during the LA riots.
During the LA riots, it was very tense. touch up on that, bro, because you living in LA during the LA riots.
Yeah, I remember LA riots. That was what, 1992.
1992.
It happened because of Rodney King.
The Rodney King, yes.
King
For those who don't know, the police was caught on video camera beating Rodney King almost to death.
Yeah, almost to death. He survived, but like almost to death.
And they all got acquitted. None of them went to jail. And
None of the police officers. All 4 of the police officers got acquitted.
They all got acquitted. So the people in Los Angeles, they got upset. You know,
especially
they started
the black community.
The black community.
One of their own. And I feel them.
Definitely.
You know, like if I was an Asian dude, I'll be over there doing the same thing.
So what happened is the black community got upset. The riot went. They started burning stuff down, beating people up. So the Koreans called together.
Well, majority of the LA riots was in South Central, which Koreatown is in the middle of South Central.
Yes.
And so it was the Korean stores, the mom and pop shops that was owned by Koreans.
Yes.
And along with some of the big stores that was like the Korean grocery stores and the Korean. There's a place called Kim's Electronics. It's been there since the LA riots.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Wow.
It got looted, and that's like the electronics. That's like Saudi version of Extra.
Okay. Yes.
Or Jareer, you know.
Yes.
And they got that this was going on the whole time during the LA riots, and so to be in a Korean standpoint, we didn't hate on the blacks for doing that.
Yes.
It was just.
But you wanted to protect your property.
We're losing money. You're hurting my family, but I get what you're doing. But that's our stores, you know. Like
so, a lot of people may not know that the Korean people they got weapons, they got arms.
Yeah. So there was
And I believe your father. No. I mean not your father. Well, he had a business. I mean, there. No.
Yeah.
Your father had a business there. Yes. Yeah. So how did that work? Did they attack his business or no?
No. Because his was sort of in the outskirts of it. So
yeah.
But he was in that committee where they're like, okay. We're not going to kill anybody, but we're going to just show force, saying, please do not touch this door. So they're all up on the roofs. We're like...
And nothing happened, though. Nothing broke off.
After they started doing that, the crowd, the rioters, veered off to a different location.
Yes.
And different stores, but then they realized, okay, the Koreans are getting angry, and like... Everybody thinks that it was a race war between Koreans and blacks.
You got to understand because also in the history of America, especially LA, it's tense because like Pac used to always rap about this girl named Natasha Harley, I believe her name is, who she got killed going into, was that a Korean or Chinese store?
No, it was, I think it was Korean.
And the communities never really spoke about it. This was dope because you're a Korean American, I'm Black American, Latino American, whatever you want to call it, I'm American, he's American. And maybe for the first time you get, because you know both cultures. You know what I mean? So when this young girl went to a Korean store and got killed, I think what happened is that the older generation of Koreans didn't understand the young generation of the people who the neighborhood who their stores was in. You know what I mean? So I think it takes education. You know what I mean? Dialogue. Like for example, if you're gonna come in a neighborhood and set up shop, whether you're Arab, Latino, Black, if you go to another neighborhood, you should know the people in that community. You know what I mean? You should get to know the people in that community. So I think what happened to Natasha is that they didn't really understand the African American community. You know what I mean?
Especially it was an older generation Korean.
That fresh from Korea, probably.
Yeah. Wow, who barely spoke any English, you know.
Yes.
And he didn't know what was going on, and he was on. It was like a straight up, I'm feared.
Yeah, he was afraid.
He was afraid, so out of fear, he shot her. And
he shot a girl. You know, she was 17 years old.
It wasn't because she's black. Boom, no.
Because I think the problem is similar to police. Like the police, for example, in America, they come to our communities, but they don't live in the community. So if you don't live in a community, how are you going to police people in another community that you don't understand?
Yeah.
It's important that if you're going to, and that's what I mean for Arabs, because you got a lot of Arabs, Asians, Latinos, they go into the black communities, Chinese. You know what I mean? Every hood got a Chinese restaurant. Chinese are tough though. You got because growing up,
some of the hoods, the Chinese restaurant owned by black people though. You know.
And now the black people smarting up. Yeah. Tyrone chickens.
And I think there's a soul food restaurant.
We got Tyrone chickens with the Chinese hat on, bro. But you gotta understand, bro. So I remember as a kid, they might not even be around. The kids of these people forgive us, because we was bad as hell to the Chinese stores, bro. In our neighborhood. Every 4th of July, we shot it but they was tough. They would come back out, throw stuff at us. But we was kids. That's how we have fun.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they won't leave. No matter what. The next day they did. serving you food. You be like, man, they ain't going nowhere. These Chinese people.
Chinese knows. Hey, if we leave, black people love Chinese food.
So we got to get along once in a while.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's important, like, not only for business owners, police officers, you should know that community that you getting involved in.
Exactly.
So these things won't happen. What happened to the girl Natasha? They got afraid. They killed her. You know what I mean? Police coming in our neighborhood. When I was a kid, bro, I faced police brutality as a 10-year-old kid. This stuff will traumatize you.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at my kids, my youngest is 8 years old. I can't imagine what he'll go through in 2-3 years if the police pretty much coming around the neighborhood and trying to pump fear in him. My brother Mooney, when we was a kid, I think maybe 13, 14 years old, you know what I mean? I think if I'm not mistaken, if he had to get stitches or something, like the police used. So growing up in our neighborhood, this was kind of normal, unfortunately. And when you get older, you realize that these same police that's coming into our communities, they don't have a clue about us. They never sat with. Don't get me wrong, you got 1 or 2 that's good. Mm-hmm. You always have a few that's good, but they don't understand the community they policing. You know what I mean? So automatically, it's distrust, miscommunication. You know what I mean? They don't know our community. We don't really know where they coming from. There's no dialogue.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, you do have some good cops. You know what I mean? We can't paint everybody with the same brush.
Of course.
You do have some good cops who come through, and they do, and these are the ones that leave a long-lasting impact on you. Like, I remember the good cops as a kid that used to come around and speak to me and smile. You know what I mean? Every time I see them, I get happy to see that cop. I speak to them.
Regardless if he was white or not, right?
They was white cops. Yeah. Doesn't matter, you know what I mean? So I remember...
it's all just the character of people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you should determine things on, is the character, not the race or color.
For sure.
That's America.
America's divided on color, bro. Divided on race.
America's the only place that they distinguish you as black, Hispanics as brown, Asians as yellow, whites as whites. Because if you go to UK, if you see a white UK, he's UK.
He's United. He's British. He's from British. Yeah, because America's a melting pot. But I agree with you. Like they would consider, you know, you never hear German American or something, but you would be a Korean American.
Yeah,
you never hear
German
Irish
American. You never call him. You wouldn't call
he's
him
American.
White. He'll call you.
He's American.
Exactly.
True.
That's how it should be.
That's how it's supposed to be. Definitely.
And if you want to distinguish by your actual ethnicity, then it'll be like Korean American, German American.
Yeah.
Not white,
you know
brown,
what's crazy? My great grandfather, my grandmother's father was a Cherokee Indian, original Native American, and so I grew up knowing my whole life that my peoples is Native American. Mm-hmm. But still, because of the American, a lot of people don't know America has a 1-drop blood law back in the day, where if you have 1 drop of black blood in you, you consider black. So they was using this to oppress the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They was using this to say, you have this 1 drop of black blood in you, so you're black. Nowadays it's cool. You know, everybody's saying, now people want that 1 drop of blood. Like Mariah Carey was saying, I got the 1 drop of black. So now it became cool, but for our ancestors, no matter what, they was being subjugated to being oppressed because of this.
Yeah.
So America, from the beginning, was founded on racism, unfortunately.
It was.
Even though things changed, it came, not change, it made some improvement. You know what I mean? It came a little, you know, it's not like, of course, like how my grandmother was, and maybe how when your parents first came to America, you see some difference, you know what I mean? So still got a long way to go. I think the newer generation are changing. You still got unfortunately, when Trump became president, a lot of hidden racism came back out.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So, but I could say as an American, you know, it changed. You know what I mean? It got a little better. Myself as an African American or Black American, Nate, whatever you want to call it, because they give us a new name every 20 years, every 50 years. And like I said, even though my grandfather's a Native American, the original people of America, but like, you know, I never faced openly racism in America. Never ever.
You haven't? In California?
Never ever.
Even in California?
Because LA is the most liberal, California's the most liberal state.
I witnessed all that in California.
You did?
Yeah, in California.
We're going to touch upon Asian hate because that's the new thing that's going around.
No, but you see, me, when I lived in California, the reason I get along with all races.
Yes.
And it's because I lived in many different locations when I was growing up. You know, I actually lived in Compton for 6 months because my parents had a store there. Yeah.
So you was in the hood, bro. What year was this?
This was 1988.
So this was the height of gangbanging, bro. You was in the house, though. I'm sure you was in the house playing Nintendo.
No, and before that, I lived in Pico Rivera.
Latino neighborhood.
Which is straight Latino. I was the only non-Latino.
So they were speaking on you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like I witnessed my first drive-by shooting when I was 6 years old, first grade. Because my school was right around the corner. It was like a block away.
Wow.
And it was drive-bys all the time.
That's LA. Yeah.
I spent a lot of my time walking to school in the bushes. Because that's why I would hide from all the.
That's sad. You hear that? American, man. He had to walk to school.
I'm Asian, and I witnessed that.
Yeah, that's American culture, man. You got Asian gangs, though. A lot of people don't know you got Asian gangs.
That's where I grew up
in LA.
That's where I grew up.
You know what I mean? You got the Filipino gangs out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But unfortunately, we need to figure a way to stop the gang division. Huh?
They kind of like
they died down.
It's not like when we were growing up in LA, where there was like,
but unfortunately,
the Bloods, the Crips, the Latin Kings, 18th Street, Treses,
yes.
You got the Asian Boys, KK, which is Korean Killers.
Korean Killers?
Yeah. Not KKK.
I was about to kind of smack you in the back of the head.
It's called LGKK. LGKK, which is the last generation Korean killers.
And they was a gang.
Yeah, it was a gang. You got KP.
Don't tell me you was the founder of it.
No. I wasn't in the gang at all. All my boys were in
Listen, man, being in the gang is corny. We're gonna tell you that right now.
All those rappers
and most of these rappers talking that gang stuff, they leading you the wrong path. Because the reason why we say this, because myself and I'm sure Q can vouch for this, we know real people that was involved in gangs.
Yeah.
I'm talking about killers, real OGs, whatever you want to call them. And if you sit down with them now, they would tell you if they had a better way, they would have never joined the gang. You know what I mean? If they had a better way, they would have never joined the gang. So unfortunately, in America, especially Los Angeles, it's very complicated. Because of a neighborhood you grew up in, you will automatically be affiliated. So it's not easy to just say not to join a gang. But if you look at those that's joining gangs or those involved in gangs, either they're in jail for the rest of their life, they murdered, or the ones that did survive, they're gonna tell you don't make the same mistakes they made.
Look at the founder of the Crips, Tookie.
Yeah, don't make the same mistakes they made.
He regrets being the founder of the Crips.
I got a good friend of mine, and he's very laid back. His name Abdul Samir, and he's from Compton, but he lived in Saudi Arabia now for 20-something years. So he's from Compton he's from Pyru Street.
Oh,
Pyru Street is where the blood gang Pyru started.
Ooh.
So his story, his brothers, they always involved in gangs. Some of his homies they was up there in the gang world. Unfortunately, you know what I mean. Some of them got killed. Alhamdulillah, thank God he found Islam, moved to Saudi Arabia 20-something years ago, and two of his brothers, one of his sisters also accepted Islam. But he was telling me a sad story. He was in my coffee shop maybe 2 weeks ago. And he was telling us a story about his brother, even though he told me before, but he was repeating it to some other guys, that his brother used to be a hardcore gang member, Pyru blood. But then he accepted the religion of Islam. Mm-hmm. But his brother was still driving in a car, the color of his gang, blood. Yeah. Even though he's Muslim now and he's older, he's not gang banging anymore, but he still got that old school car. And he was in LA, right? And so while he's in LA pumping gas, I think Abdul Samir said the kid was 14 years old. A 14-year-old kid came to him and he banged on him. What set you from? He was
trying to make his bones with him.
So what happened is the brother Abdul Samir, because he's an older guy, so he tell his little kid, man, get out of here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Get out of here. So when he jumped in the car, the 14-year-old kid trying to prove himself, took out a gun, started shooting at the brother. Mm-hmm. So he was at the light. So when he started shooting at him, he ran the light, a bus hit him. When the bus hit him, the 14-year-old kid came around, the bus blew his brains out. He didn't stop there. He still shot him in the head and killed him. Now, a sad story that this is the reality of gang life in America. Even though the brother, may Allah have mercy on him, he accepted the religion of Islam, he stopped being a gang member. But the reality is, this happened because a 14-year-old gang member wanted to prove himself. Yeah, so when you got these rappers and you got these kids want to pretend that they gangs, they Bloods and Crips, they don't know that this is the reality of that life. Yeah. Somebody gonna test you. You know what I mean? Somebody gonna test you. So this young kid, 14 years old, now in his life, Aki, 14-year-old kid, you're not even thinking properly. Now you're in jail for the rest of your life.
Is just started.
Your life is finished now. You know what I mean? You're in jail for the rest of your life.
All in one
you know what I mean? You take the life of a person who's a father, so the whole atmosphere of gang violence, you're not gonna get no benefit from it.
No.
I respect, I have many friends that associated, and I respect them now because, they now teaching kids that, look, we made these mistakes, don't go this route. One of the dudes I got to shout out, Speedy. Speedy, you know Speedy?
Yeah.
Speedy from LA. The reason I want to shout Speedy out because I just seen his trailer on the Art of Dialogue, on the YouTube. What's the name of that YouTube, man?
Speedy, he was on Vlad, right?
Nah, he wasn't on Vlad, but there's a channel. Timbo is his name.
Jeff, what was that?
Timbo.
Do you remember?
Let me show you right now, because Timbo just sent me a message. Hold on.
It wasn't Vlad, though? I thought Speedy was on Vlad.
Nah, Speedy. I'm gonna tell you right now. Infomines. You know the Infomine YouTube. So let me tell you about Speedy, man. And so Speedy, he a Crip from he was from Hard Time Hustler Crip. We're not glorifying gang violence. I'm just telling you people who really lived it. These are people that's saying to you people that's watching, stay away from this life. So Speedy, you know what I mean? I think the first time, the second or third time he went back to jail was for murder. County jail, hardcore gang member, in and out of prison. Unfortunately, he's in prison again now. And about a year ago, he accepted the religion of Islam. So he accepted the religion of Islam, and he trying to, put these talks out to teach the kids, like, look at what happened to my life. And Speedy was in death row with us. He was around snooping them. So these are the people, man, if you want to look up to a gang member, which I'm not going to tell you to do, look up to people like Speedy who changed his life, who's a positive individual now. Big Cass, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Abdul Samir. Look at the reason why I say look up to these, learn from these people, because they made mistakes, but they turned their life around. So, because when you're 14 years old, it's difficult to just sit a 14-year-old kid down and say, you know what, don't be a gang member, don't deal in the streets. Because who's gonna listen? Bro, when I was 14 years old, you couldn't tell me nothing.
Yeah, same here.
You know what I mean? So hopefully these 14-year-old kids will listen, man, and don't make these same mistakes. 14 years old, man, don't throw your life away. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, don't throw your life away.
Now in this generation, now in 2021, they start off younger than that.
Bruh.
That's crazy.
Sad, bro. Sad.
That's why I got my kids living in Korea.
That's why I got my kids. My kids in Saudi Arabia.
Your oldest is still in LA, right?
My oldest is in LA, 22, big Salik. Shout out to Salik. He's doing good. Personal trainer now. You know what I mean? So he will soon come to Saudi Arabia. I thank God, man, I got good kids. You know what I mean? No one is perfect, but I think a lot of my kids are good. They know where the way I was. Even my son Salik, I don't think he ever left the house without his mother knowing where he was at. Yeah. You know what I mean? She drove him to his friend's house, picked him up. You know what I mean? My kids here, even though they try to take pictures and look tough and cool, they ain't about that life, alhamdulillah. You should be thankful. You know what I mean? So, because when I was 13, I remember my life. So sometimes I look at my kids and I say, you know what? These kids, they have no clue. To me, this is a blessing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? This is a blessing where they can be kids. They don't have to walk outside and worry about, anybody doing something to them or, man, because drive-bys, you know what I mean? When I was telling my kids, and I say this as an example, it's also in my book, shout out to Suleiman. When I was about 14 years old, I remember I was in downtown Newark. Newark is a very dangerous place, Newark, Irvington, New Jersey. And I remember I was downtown because I had some cousins. At this particular time, this neighborhood was very dangerous. You know what I mean? And so we get out with my cousins. I'm still 13, 14 years old, so I really don't know what's going on. You know what I mean, around me. So an argument take place between two guys that's right here, we all together, and one of them pulled the gun out. So I remember as a kid, when he pulled the gun out, I just started running. You know what I mean? Because we already, unfortunately, the norm, unfortunately, in America, that you know how to survive a gunfight.
It's kind of brainwashed in our head.
And this is not normal. You know what I mean? So the norm is that a 9-year-old kid and 10-year-old kid, they already know what that is when the gun come out.
You see the gun, you
know what I mean?
You run.
So when I saw the gun, I started running, not knowing that I'm running in the direction that the guy is shooting at.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I kid you not, bro. When I'm running, wallahi, I swear by God, I remember hearing the bullets coming past my ears. I'm hearing the wind and I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Like, wallahi, I swear to God. So when it was over and the shooting stopped, I ran back because I wanted to get near to my cousin. And another guy was there, shot up. Innocent guy. He was there with us, one of my cousins. He shot up. The guy who they were shooting at got away. And I remember as a kid, like, wow, bullets was literally going past my head, and it was nothing. I go home, I don't even tell my grandmother. You know what I mean? I went home, I said, I'm not going to tell my grandmother because she's not going to want me to be with my cousins anymore.
Or go out at all.
No, and then the next day my life is normal.
Yeah.
So now when I sit back and I look at kids, for example, my kids, other kids in Saudi Arabia, your kids in Korea, we finally got a chance to raise them in a normal way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Without all the violence.
Without all the violence.
And the hate.
Without all the hate, the ignorant stuff, you know what I mean? So when I see my kids taking out the garbage, I'm worried that the only thing I'm worrying about is the cars.
Yeah.
This is a blessing, wallah. You know what I mean?
And not the cars because of drive-by, it's just that they might get hit by a car.
Not by the drive-by, just because they might know how to dodge cars, you know what I mean? So when we see this, man, a lot of people don't know that to live a normal, be thankful, you know what I mean? Even when I speak to some of the Saudis here, when they ask me about the American culture and they glamorize and stuff, I say, man, you don't know how good you really have it. You know what I mean? Like how good you really have it, where like now I can chill, you know what I mean? When I'm in my coffee shop, the door's here, my back is facing the door, I'm drinking, I have no worries. As soon as I go to America, unfortunately, my mindset click.
Yeah.
If I go to a restaurant or a coffee shop, I gotta see who coming in and out of the door.
I'm not like 100% alert.
The whole thing.
Here I could relax. In Korea, I could definitely relax, you know. But as soon as I get to California, as soon as I land in LA, it's like,
yeah, you gotta be on point, bro. I'm like this. Everybody, I can't even eat in peace because I'm like this.
Like, why is his hand behind him? Is he about to pull out a gat? You know, that's how.
Yeah, so you got to be careful.
But you know what's a blessing though?
Yes.
That our kids would never have to worry about.
Thank God.
Back in the 1980s and 1990s, we would not be doing this right now.
Well, we won't.
You know,
the division.
Yeah.
But what about this new thing I wanted to talk to you about that I've been saying hashtag Stop Asian Hate?
Oh, so it all happened. Honestly, I think this is the demise of Donald Trump because when COVID started happening, you know, COVID, it originated from China. Now, there's many speculations on how it came about, like it was created in a lab and the pharmaceutical companies did it or whatever, or it was just sheer bad luck in the Chinese province and stuff. But because it was labeled as a Chinese virus, and Donald Trump on TV calling it China virus, that any Asian they saw,
he's a little crazy, bro.
And it wasn't only the white community doing this; it was the white, black, Hispanic communities. When they see an Asian guy walking down the street or Asian woman, they'll go up behind him and like knock him out or hit him hard or do the football truck, the football check, and it was starting to kill a lot of older Asian
so people were dying from this.
People were dying from this because of the Asian hate, because they thought like he could be like half white, half Korean, and they just thought that he's Chinese.
I saw one Korean dude, he was buff. He's like, look here, man, I got hands.
Yeah.
he said, I love everybody, the black community, the white, y'all all my peoples, but run up on me. He said, I got hands. Yeah, you know what's unfortunate? The one thing I don't like, first of all, I hate racism. Like, I hate it. Yeah. I thank God, even the way I was raised, the way my grandmother raised me, I never was raised to hate nobody based on their color or their race. I thank God that my grandmother raised me this. So I hate racism. And I don't really like, especially because African Americans, we went through a lot, bro. You know what I mean? We went through a lot. We still going through a lot, especially in America. So of course, it's sad if you see, like, for example, a black person participating in that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, a black and an Asian, a minority, at the end of the day, to those in power, they looking down on all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I hate to see stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I think racism and all this stuff, you got to understand that politically, they love to keep this division going in America. You know what I mean? This is something easy. Keep that division away. Keep them over here. You know what I mean?
The Asian hate that's going on, I don't blame that on certain set. And what I mean by sets, not gang sets, but I'm talking about
group of people. Yes.
I blame it on whoever's in power, because whoever's in power, you lead by example. And by Donald Trump going around saying, it's the China virus, regardless if you support Donald Trump or not, you hearing it, you're going to think, okay, you know what? Yeah, it is the Chinese Asians' fault because they brought coronavirus here or whatever. They start attacking. So,
but you would think people got some common sense, though.
Yeah.
So, like,
2021.
you got to have some common sense. Just because he says an Asian, you beating up an Asian person ain't going to make the virus go away. You know what I mean? Now you in jail. Now you in the county jail with everybody got the COVID.
What gets me angry is like, dude, all the Asian people probably know martial arts. Why aren't they?
Martial art don't work in real life. I be telling y'all that, bro. That stuff don't work in the hood.
No, it's true.
Don't tell them, bro. You're going to get a lot of these Asians beat up. Don't tell them that.
No. Hey, I gotta keep it real. Yeah. My parents made me take Taekwondo, and I got my first degree black belt in Taekwondo. I still get my butt kicked.
I tell everybody.
It might take a little longer because I got to dodge a couple punches, but I'm still.
I always tell brothers, look, I always tell people, man, in the hood, martial art never worked.
No, common sense works.
We had a dude named Rodan. Shout out to Rodan, man. Rodan, forgive us, man, because we was bad kids. We threw rocks at you. This was our OG, man. He's an African American, but he knew karate, martial art.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, boy, he would do flips. It looked like he was spinning in the air. But every time he tried to get in a real fight, he got knocked out. So none of that stuff worked, bro. So don't try this in the hood, people, man. But shout out to Rodan, man. He's a Chancellor Avenue veteran. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, bro, I think it's important. I think America, unfortunately, they using, you know what I mean, what's happening to, like, you wanted to discuss what's happening with the black people, police brutality, Asian hate, all that stuff is ignorant to me. You know what I mean?
And the reason I want to do this podcast is to show, like, unity.
For sure. I get along with everybody. Listen, I'm the type of person, man.
And honestly, you have a little Korean in you. Come on.
I might have some Korean.
You black Korean.
Yeah, I'm black Korean. You know what I mean? I'm a black Korean, bro. But you know what? I got love for I treat people the way they treat me. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your religion. If you good to me, I'm good to you. You disrespect me, unfortunately, I might disrespect you back. I'm not a perfect Muslim. You know?
Nobody's perfect. Though. That's what you gotta live your life as.
You might get it back, and you might get it strong when it comes from me.
That's how you gotta live life. You gotta live life knowing that nobody is perfect.
Definitely. So I treat everybody with respect. You know what I mean? So like I said, when I grew up in America, I never faced racism openly. Like nobody never looked at me. I'm not, you know what I mean? You either. Nobody never looked at me and say the N-word to me. I don't even like using that word anymore. You know, that's you can't use it, bro, because I don't want my fans to get you.
Use what, man?
The N-word.
I use chink.
Good.
Because I'm Asian. That's what I.
Because that's a lot of things that's going on now. With 2 days ago, we had these two young Saudis. It was very respectful. Very respectful. They spoke English. You was here, and they came to me and they was like, Brother Mutah, can I ask you a question out of respect? One of them was like, I don't use the word. But he was saying, I notice now because of the culture, he was like, how do you feel about non-black Americans using the N-word? And I said, to be honest with me, I try not my best to use it. You know what I mean? Did I slip up and use it even as a Muslim? Yes. But one of the first things, when I accepted the religion of Islam, the first thing that I try to do is stop cuss words. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then the second thing, I stopped using the N-word because in my opinion, the origin of the N-word was used against us in a derogatory manner.
It was used to keep you down.
Yes, so then you have people like Tupac who said, well, the N-word means never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. Then you have rappers who try to twist it. That's their opinion, I don't argue with them. You know what I mean? If they feel like this is what they want, I don't argue with them. But for me, I don't use the word. So I was explaining to the young Saudi kid, I said, I advise as Muslims, we don't use it. And I told him, I said, in America, you got Arabs that use it. I said, you got Arabs that actually use the N-word.
Yeah, you got Hispanics that use it.
Puerto Ricans, they pretty much black. Puerto Ricans. Some of them think they're European, man. Cut that out. Wallahi, they just did a DNA test. Puerto Ricans have 30% black blood in them. Both. They got 30% African blood. I think 50% European, 20% Native American. Yeah. So Puerto Ricans use it in New York, that's normal.
Yeah.
And you got now Arabs that use it, you got Pakistani Americans use it, and they grew up in the culture. So I was explaining with the Saudi, I said, look, you go to certain neighborhoods and you might see a black dude using it because he grew up in that neighborhood. So they allow him to do it. You know what I mean? You go to, and I know some.
Yeah.
Even though, because I cannot go to him and say, hey, don't use that word, because he's a person of color. He felt like that's what he want to use. He use it. But me, I don't agree with it. And I told him as Muslims, we shouldn't use it. You know what I mean? And that's my take on it. So I told the youngsters the way it was used. That's why I don't use it anymore. I use it enough in my raps. I use it, you know what I mean? I slipped up a couple times. Don't get me wrong. Like since I've been Muslim, I slipped up. Well, jokingly, I said it, but I don't like to use it. You know what I mean? I don't use it.
There's also Asians that use it. Like when I went back to LA, after I got out of the military, I went back to LA, and I'm in Koreatown, and I'm hearing.
And they use it amongst each other.
And I look, and I'm like, hold up.
Yes.
You know, and then they youngsters, they young bloods. So I'm like, first of all, you don't. You definitely shouldn't be saying it. You're not allowed to use it. If anything, you haven't even gone through enough to be able to use it either. So just don't say.
But they use it because the culture made it cool.
And then they started talking smack to me, and I was all right. You know what? And I called one of my homeboys because he was with me in Koreatown. I was like, okay, now say it. Go ahead, say it. And they don't say it. And I'm like, exactly. That's
so I advise, you know what I mean? Like when it comes to who can use it and not use it, this topic can go on forever. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story about a good friend of mine's named White Mike. Mike Granada. Mike Granada, he's an OG Italian white dude from my neighborhood. He's the only white dude in our neighborhood. And he knew my parents.
White Crip, right?
Nah, he ain't no Crip, man. But
this before.
My neighborhood, Chancellor Avenue, was mainly Bloods, Pyrus. But he was a guy that he's not down with none of that gang stuff.
Okay.
White Mike was he was best friends with my cousin. Not only that, he knew my mother and father. Mm-hmm. And White Mike was the only white dude in the neighborhood, but he was thorough with the hands. He wasn't no punk. He was always down to fight.
He could throw it down.
Bro, White Mike knocking jokers out. Him and my cousin, he was with my cousin Snag. My cousin Snag was also known to knock dudes out. So him and White Mike grew up together. And what happened is that he went in and out of prison a lot. He told me recently, he's like, "Moo, man, I spent 20-something years of my life in prison. And out, White Mike."
Oh, shit.
He just came home about 6 months ago. Shout out to White Mike. So White Mike, my OG. When I look at him, he's family, he's a brother. I look at him like family. To the point that when my mother and father got murdered, he was telling me, one day we was on Instagram Live, he went with my cousin to remove the furniture. He said, "I still remember the blood on the sofas." And he started crying, like cracking up. So he remembered me as a kid, you know what I mean? But when I got older and become a little bad, I was a little disrespectful dude. Me and my brothers, we didn't care. So I remember one time I used to always say bad stuff to him. So I remember one time I was like, I want to be mean. What's the meanest thing I can say to White Mike? So I said this. I was on my porch and he was walking down the street. I said, "You ugly punk." And White Mike is tough. Nobody in the hood, if you want to fight, he gonna fight everybody.
Yeah.
He's a tough white boy. So I was like, "You punk." I'm a kid though. He's like, "Shut up." He every other word with him was a cuss word though. I said, "You cracker."
Oh.
I called him a white cracker, even though I'm not racist, I just wanted
to get under his skin.
Yeah, I said, how can I? Because I was bad. I just wanted some fun. I remember it was summertime, and I just wanted some fun. I said, "You white cracker," and then and I think he said something back similar to like racist to me, like "Shut up, you did this," something back. I remember I ran in my house. I was like, "Man," to my uncles and my grandma, I was like, "White Mike just said a racist words to me. White Mike is racist." My grandmother's like, "Boy, I smacked the taste out of your mouth. You tell me we know Mike. We was dealing with Mike before you was born. So it didn't work because they know he's not racist. You know what I mean?" So I was like, "Damn, that didn't work." I was just trying to start some trouble, bro.
That's what we do as kids, though. You know?
So shout out to White Mike because then later on in life, that's my man. He family. Even to the point when we was on tour, I bring him. Whenever I go to the East Coast, I bring him to the East Coast with me, and I deal. He was with the security with me. You know what I mean? So
I got White Mike.
Instagram.
I got him mixed up with remember the white dude who was in prison, who had the Chris backing him up.
Yeah. Someone else. So you got involved with someone else. Definitely. So you got him involved with another person.
Yeah. I got him mixed up with that. Okay, my bad. Yeah.
So shout out to Muhammad. My partner Muhammad is
Muhammad.
He just walked in. We live, bro. Shout out to Muhammad.
I'm learning Arabic. Me living in Saudi Arabia.
Look who's here, Muhammad. So White Mike, man, shout out to White Mike because these are the elders. They're my OGs that raised me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And these are the people that when I was on the hood, because bro, when I was 12, 13 years old, I was on the block.
Yeah.
I wasn't like a lot of these rappers talking, bro. I was outside with the killers, the dealers. My family was the ones running my neighborhood when they got older, my brothers and them. So when I was talking and stuff in my rap, I was really outside.
Yeah.
I was every day, I leave my house, I would go in the block and I was watching people like White Mike, people like Mike Dudes, they all became Muslim, my man Ali Wap, my brothers, Shalabi, Corey, and Rabbi, Mike, these was my old heads, but I was the littlest dudes. I was the littlest dude amongst these big giants in my eyes. You know what I mean? And these are the people what helped me is that a lot of them seen talent in me. So people like White Mike, people like Rabbi, Corey, Shalaby, Mike, man, Allah have mercy on them, pass away. When I started rapping, bro, they seen talent in me. So when I started selling drugs and I kept getting caught, they kept coming to me like, I remember Shalaby and Corey came to me and said, why you selling drugs?
What are you doing?
I said, because I want to get new clothes. They said, but look, man, you got talent. You a rapper, you got good lyrics. Why would you throw that away? They said, from now on, we your managers. Shout out to Corey and Shalaby, man. And I sorry for firing you guys. Because, bro, every time I used to get in an argument with them, I used to see fired.
Yeah.
Before I even got a deal. Before I got a deal, this was the funniest thing in the hood. Because in the hood, you didn't used to hear this. Yeah. So I would get mad. I'm like, you fired, man. You ain't my manager no more. Everybody in the block would laugh. Because maybe they thought I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
Other jokers laughing. They probably like, man, he ain't gonna make it off the block.
Yeah, fire what? You ain't
like how you fire me? You ain't even got a deal. But Shalaby and Corey, they always see talent in me. So they would come to me and say, why are you selling drugs? Why are you doing this when you have talent? Yeah. And I used to say, man, I want clothes. They said, look, you have rapper, whatever you want studio time, we'll put you in the studio. You want new clothes, don't sell drugs. You can be out here on the block with us, but we gonna support you financially. So Corey, Shalaby, Rabbi, and Mike. These are the ones, these was my homies. And also they wanted a way to get away from the streets. So they kept saying, we want to take our money and we don't want to be selling drugs for the rest of our lives. Yeah. So it was a win-win situation for all of us. You know what I mean? And even after I got with Pac and got with the Outlaws, you know, I still try to I gave them some opportunities. We started Outlaw Records. A lot of people don't know when when we left Tupac, we started a record label. Mm-hmm. We was one of the veterans that was getting $10 per record sale. So we dropped the album independent, sold 200,000 copies, and we got $10 that came to us, the Outlaws.
Each per record.
Per record. So imagine 200,000 sales to everybody, because it's independent. We had no marketing. Yeah. But we put Outlaw Records out, 200,000 sales, $10 a record. We was living good. Yeah. And so when I got to that point, I called my brother Mooney. Shout out to Shaq, Corey, Shalaby, and we gave them opportunities to invest in the company. So they paid for some of our first videos, our independent videos. They financed the money for us. You know what I mean?
Siki died before that, or?
Siki died before that. Yes, my brother Siki passed away.
Rest in peace.
He died before that, for sure, for sure. So this is the life, man, that you take advantage of, you know, especially if you got positive people around you, take advantage of it, man. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So every week, you know, we're hoping that we could do this every week.
We're gonna do this every week.
With us.
We got y'all. I think this is dope. Yeah. This is the first episode called Episode 1 Freestyle, because we just freestyle.
Yeah, we just freestyle. We just,
you know what I mean? Episode 1, we just winged it, man. So
we're gonna touch up on like different conversations. I think next one we're gonna do, I think we was thinking about sports.
We're gonna do. We got a lot of topics.
Yeah,
we got a lot of sports.
Topics.
We got Korean barbecue that we about to bring to Saudi, man. We got a lot of stuff.
That way,
we got Muhammad. We got Muhammad.
You guys could.
Next, we're gonna have a guest, Kel Muhammad. He liked to argue. He liked to argue.
I don't feel like arguing though, man.
No, he loved to argue. This one. He said I'm complicated. If you ask me where my ears, I do this instead of doing this.
That's too easy.
Yeah, bro. Like, see, challenge. Smart. You heard what he said?
We need a challenge.
To show you my ears here is too easy.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
We have to challenge. We have to do this. You want the easy way of life. You want the easy way. This guy always joking with me. He said that I love to make things difficult. You know?
Yeah. All right. Well.
All right. Peace, man. So we see y'all again soon.
Yep.
All right.